Good morning, everyone, and thank you for joining us. I'm Lindsay Hendrick, the Executive Director of the Lincoln Chamber of Commerce, and on behalf of the Niagara Chamber Partnership, which includes Lincoln, Grimsby, Fort Erie, Niagara Falls, Niagara-on-the-Lake, Thorold, Welland, Pelham, Port Colborne, Wainfleet, and West Lincoln Chambers, I am thrilled to be able to introduce our informative series called Niagara's Road to Recovery. This series was launched to bring 5 thought-provoking conversations with industry leaders from 5 different business sectors Niagara-wide. These conversations will allow us to reflect on what we've all gone through, what we look forward to, and what opportunities lie ahead. Today, we will be covering the construction sector, featuring panelists from Niagara Outdoor Landscaping, DeSantis Homes, Pollard Windows, and Stolt Construction. I want to thank our tech sponsor, B4 Networks, as well as our moderator, John Armstrong from Armstrong Communications. So let's begin. I will turn it over to you, John.
Thank you very much, Lindsay. Yes, we have a great roster of guests today to talk about Niagara's Road to Recovery as it relates to the construction sector. We are joined by Greg Burnett from the Niagara Outdoor Landscaping. Kate Flynn is from Stolt Construction. Gabe DeSantis is from DeSantis Homes, and Gary Pollard is from Pollard Windows. So just to kick us off, the construction sector has really kind of 2 components. There's a residential component and a commercial component, both of which have probably been performing differently during the lockdown and during the pandemic with different requirements and different regulations. So we have both residential and commercial that we'd like to talk about today, and so let's start things off by asking sort of what's the circumstance that your organization has faced over the course of the pandemic as we figure out what's going to be happening in the future. Gary, how about you start us off?
Yeah, thank you. The biggest challenge, I think, that as a manufacturer of windows and doors that we've run into is supply. It's huge from our suppliers, with regards to lumber, with regards to vinyl, glass to a certain extent, but it's that's been the biggest challenge, and the continual change of surcharges added to cost and increases of cost, much like builders have experienced with lumber. We're getting that with lumber and vinyl like anybody else, and it's been a real challenge for us. With regards.
So is that related? Are the supply chain challenges related to sort of the sourcing and the fact they come from different parts of the country or maybe offshore or some of those kinds of things? Like what do you understand the source of the supply chain challenges to be?
I would say it's twofold. And if we'll just talk about lumber and vinyl, from a lumber perspective, the lumber suppliers at the beginning of COVID shut down a lot of mills, and shut down a lot of mills preparing for a dearth of business, and not realizing that as we were all stuck at home, that we were going to do renovations and that we were going to continue to build houses and things of that nature. And then when they decided to reopen those mills, they were behind already, and CERB has taken the workers and is paying just enough for some people not to decide to go to work and to stay home. Mm-hmm. So that's one. From the vinyl end of it, I would suggest the biggest challenge there is that the majority of vinyl composites is made in Texas. That's where they do most of their stuff, and COVID affected them, but also the fact that they had a very cold winter, which froze a lot of their plants and created a major problem there. And along with the US unemployment system, again, paying people substantial sums while they're off, so people don't want to go to work. also from an employment standpoint, we're in that same boat as we just are having a difficulty getting people to actually want to work. It's been a challenge.
What's your experience been, Gabe?
Well, when it first came out, we were deemed as an essential service, so we continued to employ. And we found that there was many new positions created within my own organization, where we had to check people in at the gates for COVID. We had a number of trades that had some breakouts within their own organization, completely are missing in action for a couple of weeks. So our schedules got really out of whack. I think we're probably between 3 to 6 months behind schedule in delivering our finished product. The homeowners have understood that and are working together with us on many of my closings. But what I can tell you is, with or without COVID, the Niagara region, especially from Centennial Parkway, I would say Casablanca Boulevard, is just exploded. And many of the developments we're fortunate to be part of, we're seeing a lot of buyers come from the GTA, especially along the Queen Elizabeth corridor, who are deciding to, call this as a home. We're finding inside of the Queen Elizabeth, many of our users are local and homegrown home buyers that have had roots in here for a number of years, that are selling their 1 million, 1.5 million large 60, 70 foot lots and investing in a smart space. We're seeing a lot of that. It's very encouraging what we see happening in the short term. There was a lack of resales in the marketplace in the last 6 months, and we're very fortunate, the entire industry, to continue to employ the people we do, to continue to pay the fees we do to the municipalities, and to keep the economy strong out here. COVID was new for everyone. It kind of threw us off, but I think we've been able to roll up our sleeves, tighten our belt, and get through this as a whole organization. I can tell you the Ontario Home Builders, the Niagara Home Builders, and the Hamilton Halton Home Builders have really educated us in helping us get through this. And even our workers on site and the companies that we employ, everyone is pulling together. We do understand that there's a shortage of material out there. We do understand that the prices have gone up, quite simply as a supply and demand theory. But talking very high level in the next 6 to 12 months, many of the manufacturers, I really believe a number of our prices per square foot or whatever product you're buying, especially commodity, I think those numbers are going to start coming down because the supply chain will be driven back up. And then hopefully we're going to be seeing some balanced pricing in regards to labor rates and construction costs.
Right.
Land prices, we've been seeing that land prices are at their peak right now. And I really don't see them jumping up as much further as they have did most recently. But it's a monitor that we're watching every day. And the more challenges that we have, the higher cost housing will continue to rise. So I challenge a number of our local officials, our provincial officials, and our federal officials to really tighten up roll up their sleeves and start looking at incentives to incentivize this entire industry for rental accommodations. We have a lack of rental accommodations. We have not had any any immigration in the last 2 years. And once this is behind us, this COVID, 2022, we're anticipating between three to 500,000 people immigrating to Canada in the next 2 years. And these people need a place to live.
Yeah.
And what we have right now is going to be a challenge providing that space.
Yeah. So you said lots of interesting things. Certainly the development and the demand for housing and the increase in prices was starting, I think, pre-COVID in Niagara. You were really in terms of helping to move that development forward. Then, of course, with COVID, the things have continued. The demand has continued. There's been the increases in prices on the material side. There's also been talk about that kind of COVID bump about people moving out of the GTA, thinking that they're not going to be that they're going to be working more remotely. How much of the kind of escalation that you're feeling in the market right now is directly related to the COVID, like that kind of COVID thing, and then maybe the shortage of materials versus just straight out demand, kind of pre-COVID kind of
90%, I assume. All the increases we're facing is strictly COVID. I give you an example. We made a contract with our appliance company, which is a very, very huge appliance company. They're international. And we did this deal about 6 months ago. We're still waiting for appliances. This is how much the industry's been affected. And we're working, trying to get people in, trying to make alternate accommodations. But it's the challenge of when their plants shut down, when they get a COVID outbreak. This is the killer for us. So we continue to do what we can to move our product forward, keeping our customers happy. But it's a challenge every day. But finally, we're starting to see a light to the tunnel. Now we're starting to get guaranteed delivery dates, workers showing up continuously daily. And, our sites all have testing when you come in. We're tracking everyone. So we're doing our part to make sure our communities are safe to work, especially when we go into our customers' health to do some deficiencies in their units, that everyone is safe and our customers feel safe as well. So it's been a challenge, but, everyone is starting to pull together because we're used to it now.
Yeah. So Greg, what are you feeling from the landscaping side of the sector?
Yeah, so I'll echo what Gabe and Gary have said there as far as the supply and demand. We specialize in the residential landscape design space and building. Our projects are planned well in advance of us starting a job, which means that clients have decided on materials perhaps last fall, and then come spring, we're told those materials aren't available, right? So it's forcing us to be extra organized, having pavers or lumber delivered to the client sites, kind of weeks in advance when they are available. And as Gabe said, juggling the schedules, like our weekly office meetings for a while there in the last month or two have just been, just juggling the jobs to keep them kind of on schedule and keep clients happy and deal with, materials that are all available. We're seeing it in so many things. Like Gary said, the vinyl, a lot of our stuff is vinyl pools. So the projects we're doing, we're getting the pool in, and then when we're done our part of the job, the pool company's got to come back and hang the liner. Well, the liners are 30 to 60 days before they can get installed, right? So, whether it's a fiberglass pool, they're limited, availability, replacement parts. You asked Gary there as far as what was causing the slowdowns. I feel like, from what I understand, a lot of these big manufacturing facilities just have their hands tied, and the COVID measures that they have in place have just really just affected their production. So for us, a concrete paver manufacturer that would normally produce 10,000 square feet of pavers in a day are only doing 5, and demand is calling for 20, right? So that's just kind of how it's, I think, affecting the industry. there's no the demand for us at the outdoor living space has skyrocketed in the last year. Lockdowns, meant increased savings rates for many. So a lot of people had more cash on hand and suddenly find themselves doing upgrades and renovations to accommodate their stay-at-home lifestyles. In a time where businesses are feeling the negative effects of the pandemic. We're fortunate to be in the industry that we're in, I feel, right?
Yeah. So do you feel that that as there are a lot of jobs in the queue, obviously, going forward as people are doing that stay-at-home lifestyle. Now we're in the process of things opening up again. There's certainly the tourism sector is feeling a lot of pent-up demand for people to get back out and traveling again and back out into the community, which will then probably reabsorb some of that revenue that was then being invested into their housing and their stay-at-home lifestyle. So are you anticipating there to be a strong demand and then a bit of a lull as things restabilize, or do you still see continued strong demand?
Yeah, I could definitely see the demand staying for a while there, right? Just the backlog that the builders or the landscape contractors, anyone that's doing work in residential homes or, can only do so much, right? So, we're already booking jobs for next year ourselves, right? So by the time the end of this year rolls along, maybe all next year will be pretty well booked, right? So you're trying to add more staff, but you don't want to affect the quality of the work you're doing too, right? So
yeah.
You mentioned the struggle of labor, too, right? Having qualified laborers too.
Right. So Kate, correct me if I'm wrong. Stolt Construction is a little bit more on the commercial side. Is that correct?
That's correct. So we concentrate on industrial, commercial, institutional, and energy projects throughout Ontario.
Yeah. So you had an entirely different kind of circumstance in terms of having not really been having fits and starts of being allowed to open. So why don't you tell us about the role that the commercial construction sector has been going through?
Sure. I will echo certainly what my counterparts have said here as far as those industry challenges that whether residential or commercial, we felt them, so far as supply chain and the demand for labor and, trying to fulfill that demand. I think on the commercial side, because we as a company sort of have a full service approach, so we will build, renovate, and maintain. I think that we were fortunate with the different regulations that came down and changes that would seemingly happen overnight, and we had to respond to those. So in many cases, we would sort of step back and say, okay, what's the best plan forward? But because we were diversified in our offerings, a lot of that didn't go away. So we were fortunate at the beginning that we were working on a large medical sector project that was able to keep our crews going. But that still meant, we spent a weekend when that first announcement that was made and said, okay, how do we move forward, keeping our people working, ensuring that they're safe, and making sure that we're responsive to our clients. And so we got creative. We had to put a shift work in so that we were keeping the crew separated, but making sure that they could, still earn a paycheck. So that was great. And then on the with many of the industrial clients that we work in, that maintenance side still had to be done. They may not have been taking on, brand new projects. And a lot of that, I think, came from really understanding some of these changes. I think they would happen so quickly that whether it was our employees or our clients, they really had to step back and understand exactly what the changes meant for them. And so did we, right? But in each case, we moved forward and we were responsive. And I think for us, our mission is to be problem solvers, and we certainly had to be this year. And our guys and girls were really came to the table as far as living our core values and making sure that we could deliver to our clients. So I think, like everyone has said, we've been very fortunate to be in this industry. And, I know we all know people who have lost positions, and, construction really hasn't missed a beat short of, our hands being tied with supply chain issues and such.
Yeah. So I want to talk about labor shortages in just a second, but just before we do that, Gabe, you'd indicated that you think that 90% of the increases that we're feeling in Niagara are COVID related, and that potentially as the supply chains begin to stabilize, some of those additional costs will start to come down. Do you think that will then be translated over to the cost of houses, or how do you do you feel prices will come down on housing from an affordability standpoint, or do you think once you reach a plateau, it's difficult to step down from that plateau?
Well, if I had a crystal ball, my professional guesstimation would be, I still think that there will be room for increases in this marketplace. As I said before, once this COVID is behind us, and it looks like it's going to be fairly quickly, I would say spring, if late fall, once our government opens up our borders, immigration will escalate in this country. We will need places for these people to stay. So I continue to say that I believe that prices have room to escalate. Job security is now going to be high. Unemployment rates will come down. Inflation, I think, will balance as we go through the next 6 months to 12 months. And I truly believe that cost per square foot would be a little bit of a bump. That's my prediction. Labor rates have been stable for the last little bit, but I think, as Kate mentioned, the challenges that we're having right now is the supply of material. And if that was not a challenge, many of these projects will be behind us right now. We went to market on a project just by Niagara, on the entrance into to Niagara. We had 10,000 people on the waiting list. That's what we had.
Wow.
We shortlisted that project, and we sold out the project in a weekend. And when you sell 260 units over a weekend, and you do a little bit of marketing, and you have a good location, you have a good product, that proves to me that the market's strong, it's encouraging, and we're just doing what we can to bring new product to the market. We don't want to miss that wait, because it's important for us, and I truly believe that we're doing our best to provide shelter.
Yeah, no, those kind of wait lists, those were unheard of in Niagara a few years ago. I mean, none of the. I mean,
the biggest wait list that we've ever experienced was about 2,500 people. When we brought this product to the market 3 months ago, we went from 2,500 people to 10,000 in over 2 weeks. That was the demand. So I encourage our elected officials to bring as much product in the marketplace as possible. It's quite simple. The more supply of new builds, prices will become to be balanced. When there's no supply, prices will continue to escalate, period.
Right.
And we can only encourage our elected officials who have, the final approval to get these projects moving forward.
Yeah. So Gary, in your part of the business, you said you've been a shortage of supply. I think also escalating costs as a result, shortage of supply for various reasons. So do you feel that prices will be coming down in your part of the sector? And do you think that that will translate to the consumer, or do you think that prices will be here to stay at elevated levels?
I think prices will stabilize, definitely stabilize. And as Gabe had suggested, with the backlog of people that are out there that are interested, as the market starts to stabilize and we start to see surcharges disappear and things of that nature, I think what we're going to see is we're going to see the competitiveness of each manufacturer have to increase, because there will be a market out there, and we all fight for the same bone sometimes, but there's a big market out there. So I think they will stabilize. Will they come down? Possibly come down based on those surcharges disappearing and things of that nature. Absolutely. Which should be able, and again, it's up to that end, as you get through to the people you're selling to, and they get it through to the consumer. I think it will become more, the prices will be passed on, let's put it that way. The savings will be passed on to a certain extent. But it is a good sign. I don't think, as Gabe suggested, I do think, as Gabe suggested, that the COVID situation is continuing to decline and getting faster that way, which will, and I don't think it will be a definite lull in the industry. I think it will just smooth everything out for us. So subdivisions that have been delayed will be able to be finished in a quicker manner because supply will be there. Things of that nature.
Right. So Kate, in your part of the sector, have you felt any of your potential customers putting things off because they want to wait to see if prices stabilize, or they're worried about supply chain? Are you seeing anything like that? And do you think prices are going to stay high, or do you think they might come down?
I certainly hope that we see, them come down. Particularly we're in the pre-eng building market, and some of the steel prices, are and lead times are really quite high right now, and those lead times are significant. And so we're trying to educate our clients on, okay, this is really, if you want to be in a building, 2 years from now, we got to be moving forward. In addition, I think just being upfront with our clients so far as that pricing and the fact that the reality is it's not, we continue to see price increases coming from manufacturers. So, when we're pricing a project, unfortunately, it's got an expiration date based on what we're seeing from those manufacturers. I would say, as far as putting projects on hold, at the very beginning of this, we would sit down on a weekly basis and go through our projects that were in the pipeline. And we did have clients putting things on hold. And I think it was really just as they tried to understand all of this more, no different than us. If we look back 15 months ago, we really, we were going in sort of blind as far as what to expect from COVID, right? So I think that has, we've seen a turn there, and I think we're seeing, a great deal of demand and people investing back in their businesses, and, reaching out to us and trying to come up with solutions for them.
In the institutional sector, government buildings, that kind of sector, obviously that's historically been a tool of governments to stimulate the economy and keep people working. Do you feel that those projects are getting out the door right now? Are you hearing that they're going to be getting out the door? Like, what's your sense on the institutional side, whether or not governments are going to be using the construction sector to help to stimulate the economy, or are they going to be using other levers? Do you have any thoughts on that?
So I think, you know, we as an organization are fortunate because we're diverse in the sectors that we serve, but institutional would be the sector that we, you know, felt the greatest hit in as they, you know, sort of, you know, slowed their spending. And I think in many cases, you know, if you look at the schools, projects are they're changing as far as where they're spending their money. You know, I had a conversation with one of the school boards recently about, you know, money going into ventilation and things like that, those sort of projects that are just, you know, taking priority right now. So I don't necessarily know that they'll continue. I think they'll start, you know, putting money back in, but maybe the how the projects look in the shorter term will be a little bit different.
So the institutional sector you said was the one that it has been sort of thrown into the most change. What do you think about the what was the sector that's had the least amount of impact in your side?
Well, I mean, for us, we've seen certainly an upswing on the commercial side for sure. Particularly, again, we've been heavy on the medical sector projects this year, offices and such. So people, again, investing in their businesses. You know, I'll use an example. We certainly did the Beaujeu Medical Clinic, but, you know, one of the offices in there was a vision clinic where, again, you know, at the start of COVID, you have someone looking at the potential to expand, and then COVID hits, and you really have to look at it because you can only do so much in the space that you have right now that you have all these restrictions as far as spacing and such. So commercial has certainly been there. And then on the industrial side as well, businesses investing back in their facilities. And, you know, on the maintenance piece, certainly that, you know, that didn't slow because that has to continue. You know, we do a lot with the food sector and things like that. And those, you know, they have to stay operational. Right. So for us, the biggest changes there were just our protocols and, you know, how we were doing things. Even at the schools, you know, at the start, it was getting creative and being responsive in ensuring that we were doing after hours work and things like that, where, you know, the population wasn't in there.
Right. So Greg, on the outdoor side of things, you talked about shortages as well, escalating prices, supply chain challenges. Do you think that as those settle down on the outdoor side, what do you think is going to happen to prices? Are they going to stay high? Are they going to stabilize? Do you think, as Gary said, there may be some competition kicks in that begins to modify prices a little bit? What does your crystal ball say?
Yeah, I would agree with that. I think they are going to stay kind of where they are for a little bit, but then I'm hoping that that supply can pick up and drive the prices down. The times I would never think there was a time where we had to, you know, reprice a job 10 times over the course of before you started in the spring because the lumber prices are changing on a weekly basis almost, right? Like, it's pretty crazy. And just the accessibility, like, of getting things, you know, picking up materials, the ease of walking into a store. Now that's finally starting to come back. That's you know, costs time and money to send someone to go do a curbside pickup and wait, and it takes 2 hours, you know. So you know, juggling, you know, washrooms. So someone like Homes by DeSantis, you know, they've had washrooms on the other site for years, right? For a medium-sized landscape company, now we've made it our policy to have washrooms on their sites, right? And you know, the PPE and the cost to businesses there is definitely something.
So Gabe, on the as it relates to skilled trades, we've had a bit of a discussion here about some labor challenges, getting people back to work, and that's a challenge. Obviously, in the construction business, there are a lot of skilled trades that are required. Do you see shortages in the skilled trades as the boom in Niagara continues, or do we have the workforce here locally to be able to absorb that, or are we going to be needing to bring lots of folks from outside Niagara to help build up Niagara?
Well, what's been happening through our provincial government, as well as our local associations, we're encouraging young people to seriously take a look at this industry, to have a lifetime of employment. There are so many opportunities for young students that are coming out of high school or even college or university to seriously consider construction as an industry of choice. We're seeing that happen at this particular time because of the way the market is just on fire. We are seeing a lack of supply of skilled trades, but hopefully over the next 6 months to 2 years, as I said before, once our borders start opening up, we're going to start seeing some type of flexibility on our labor rates. So it all boils down to supply and demand. And I just want to put this in perspective for everyone to keep it as simple as possible. 1 year ago, we were paying $20 a sheet for plywood. Today, we're paying $120. It's like gold. And it's not that you would phone my lumber supply company and ask for 10 loads of plywood to be dropped off. We're lucky if we can find a half a load of plywood. That's the problem. And once, as I kept alluding to, once COVID's behind us, everyone's back to work, supply will increase. And then as Gary and Kate have been saying, the economy will take over, and it's going to be very competitive, and the companies will then will start rolling up their sleeves to start getting projects under their belt. And for us, as a developer looking in the future, so how do we continue to provide affordable space, knowing that the supply costs are going to escalate a touch, labor rates may be stable, land prices may be stable. So how do we deliver even a more affordable product? We build smarter space. We build smaller space with more amenities within our community where all the neighbors have a chance to socialize. I will tell you, we are doing one of the first projects in Southern Ontario where the entire community will be all underground parking. The entire community will be able to bike. We'll be able to do community gardens. We'll have splash pads. We'll have outside ice rink. We'll have rooftops. It's going to be a complete Wernuf community in the entrance of Niagara. We're really excited about that project. We are going through the process right now. So we are already thinking ahead what we think our buyers are going to accept 1 to 2 years from now.
Right. So just to get back to it for a second. So you're saying as potentially immigration maybe opening up might provide some a little bit more flexibility into the workforce. I'm not sure if you're choice. Yeah. Not sure if you're talking about the skilled trades or maybe inside factories to help stabilize the supply chain and to create more regularity in the supply chain. What are you thinking about in terms of the because I mean I think the building boom is all over the place, and so that labor requirement is kind of all over the place. What's your sense of where the sector is going to deal with these kind of short-term kind of shortages? Probably because obviously getting into the high schools or getting into the schools, there's a somewhat longer fix in that regard.
So what we're seeing now, we're seeing manufacturers really, think out of the box right now. I'll give you an example. So a condo that we did 5 years ago, we basically, the whole outside was facaded by hand, by labor. Today, companies are really aggressive, and the entire project is being paneled. So basically, there's no more labor on the outside. The labor is within manufacturing facilities, and we're getting our products completely facade on the outside. which allows us to have more quicker construction. So a lot of the manufacturers have been really thinking out of the box, have been being more creative on creating a product to us that is more efficient, more affordable, and easier to maintain. So the days of the bricklayer laying bricks on a high rise, those days are gone. The days of paneling are coming in, which allows us to be a little bit more affordable and pass those savings on to our buyers. So I see wonderful opportunities for first-time home buyers, empty nesters, and investors getting in the marketplace. I really believe that things will be stable in the spring, but there's still going to be a little bit bump in the marketplace for the next 6 months.
What's your experience, Kate, on the commercial side as it relates to the skilled labor required to build buildings?
Yeah, so I think the skilled trades, we were talking about the shortage, long before COVID. That's the reality. We would, go to the industrial association meetings, and there was a constant push for this and getting this in, these, being in front of high school students and such. And I think we have to continue to push that. If I can take one hope out of all of this, as far as the human resource piece, it's that individuals will look at construction now in a different light, so far as the fact that it didn't skip a beat, that it is an essential service, and it's stable employment. So I hope that people are encouraged to enter the market. I hope when they talk to their friends in the industry, they consider this. Even we had a lot of applicants this year from the hospitality industry who needed to earn a paycheck, and we all know that industry was hit hard, right? So it's them looking outside of an industry that perhaps they've been part of for a long time, and being open to change. I think as employers, from an employer's perspective, the onus is on us to take that, you talk about a long-term fix, and that's the reality. I think we need to get people in the door, and we need to invest in them, and we need to invest in training and develop them in-house, so that that talent exists for our clients.
Yeah. What's the outdoor experience, Greg? You're on mute.
Sorry. As far as, repeat the question there, John. Sorry.
Just the outdoor experience as far as labor shortages, skilled trades. What's been your experience?
Yeah, I mean, it's for the last few years it's been an issue for us, right? So we to be honest, we made a move there this year where we were forced to kind of make a deal with a guy that's kind of outside of the Mississauga, Toronto area, and he sources laborers, right? So it's us bringing in some guys that want to work, right? That want to work, right? So whether they're Mexican or Guatemalan, right? Like, these are our guys that are here and living here on a visa and want to work, and they want a paycheck. They need a paycheck, right? So they're putting their heads down and working, and it's working out great. They're great, and there's a balance with skilled laborers and guys that you need, and foremen and lead hands, and right. So it's all got to work in the structure of the organization, but getting guys that want to do the hard work and put in the hours and work in the heat and the rain and all that stuff, right? It's a grind. So
yeah. And Gary, you're on the manufacturing side of things. Are you having a hard time getting labor?
Our biggest challenge is general labor, and with immigration closed, for lack of a better description, it's created a real dearth of general labor. People with curb, we're in a real challenge right now, and it's seemingly as was said, once immigration opens up, that may open some doors for us, with us, we've talked about putting ESL, English as a second language programs and things of that nature to assist with that within our company. With regards to the skilled labor thing, we've been well aware of the skilled labor challenge for the contractors for many years. And basically, when we develop our products, we try to develop products as in brick molds and things of that nature to assist with installation, to make it easier, nailing flanges and things of that nature with the product. But I think our biggest change was probably, I would say, about even 10 years ago, where we started to provide install for residential for contractors that they could, because they were struggling to find the skilled labor. We said, for a fee, we will install also. And that has helped in a lot of situations. It's a different type of scheduling for us, because you've really got to be on with the contractor to have it organized appropriately, to be able to, when he needs product, he needs it installed at that time for draws and things of that nature. But that's been helpful. I think, as Kate said and Gabe said, the work still has to be done through manufacturers and through builders associations, working with high schools and trade programs at colleges. I think is massive, because I think we went through a situation where everybody wanted to get that university degree and be a white collar worker. And that's created a bit of a challenge in our industry in terms of getting workers and skilled workers, for sure.
So we're starting to run out of time right now. But what the next big challenge that of course the sector and we as a society are likely going to be facing is climate change. We certainly have a lot of focus on it. We have a lot of focus on it now coming out of the United States, which I think was which we weren't feeling prior to. The commitments seem to be awfully aggressive to potentially reduce our carbon emissions in half by 2030, which is not very far away. Gabe, are you getting any kind of a sense through your sector of the way the sector may be approaching or facing or dealing or not with climate change as it seems to be exercising more muscle?
Climate change in reference to the type of product I'm putting in my buildings to protect the environment. Is that what you're asking, John?
Yeah.
Okay. So we are doing what we can to make our product more efficient in regards to protecting the environment. Most importantly, trying to keep the monthly costs down for the type of utilities that are going into our buildings and the type of systems that we're putting in. We are doing that right now. Niagara is forward thinking. The Niagara region forward thinking with the CIPs, the community improvement grants they have in place, which encourage us as land developers to put environmental friendly products in these buildings, which add a huge cost, but the CIPs offset those, and the people that are actually the winners are the people that living in the house paying the monthly cost. Give you an example with white roofs, upgraded mechanical systems, increased window gas in the windows. Gary can touch base about that. So a lot of the products that we're using today are night and day from 2 years ago. And we're trying to do that, trying to put better product in, doing our best. But some of these costs, is it COVID? Yes. Is it a newer product? Yes. So there's some offset costs that need to be thought about. And like I said, I really believe it's up to the municipality, the provincial and the federal governments to really roll up their sleeves and put a dent in our market and come to the table and support people that can afford and help them as much as we can and provide incentives for our industry to start looking at building rental accommodations. That's where I see happening in the future in the next 5 to 10 to 20 years.
Yeah, yeah. So Gary, on the glazing side, is your sector sort of moving towards responding to the demands of climate change? What do you feel?
Well, absolutely. I mean, we belong to a group, Fenestration Canada, and that group is affected by Energy Star Canada has increased energy. You need increased energy ratings on product because the window, you know, as I don't like to admit this, but the window is the weakest part of the wall, you know, and so that's been a continual thing by the government of Canada to increase ratings on windows. And with that in mind, we've had to change to different glass types, low E coatings. We've even changed to triple glazing now with our product because the ratings are becoming harder to meet with dual glazing. And so we've had to increase that. And of course, we do in-house testing, but we also obviously have to send ours out for third-party testing so that we show that we meet. But absolutely, it's affecting us, and it's making better product. There's no question it's making better product in the industry.
John, may I add also, I just got a note from Serena Carboni, my sales and marketing director. Our newest project in downtown Grimsby is going to be the first in the entire area that's going to be completely geothermal. So we're taking every ground source out of the ground. We're not going to affect any utilities. So those are things that we are doing, thinking out of the box to make it more affordable for our owners to try to keep their monthly costs down. So it is going to be the first in Niagara, and I'm proud to say that.
Nice, that's fantastic. So Greg, what do you feel on outdoor? I know permeable pavers help to passively disperse water as opposed to having increased sewer capacity. What do you feel in outdoor as it relates to climate change?
Yeah, I think permeable is probably one of the biggest thing for climate change, and something that you're going to see, you know, the Niagara region or local municipalities, you know, increasing on the residential side and on, you know, the commercial side, and on these condensed, you know, urban areas where rainwater and stormwater are a problem. But for us, yeah, we're just kind of breaking the ground in that stuff, and we haven't been to an industry trade show in the last year or two, right? But yeah, that's kind of where those things are going, and doing that stuff to you know, be more resourceful with the stuff that we got to work with, and also kind of, you know, help our infrastructure in our communities, right?
Yeah. Kate, are you feeling the demands of climate change impacting the way the ICI sector is behaving right now?
So I think for many of our clients, these are, you know, large companies within the region, and I think that is a focus. And so when they are working on the design of what they're doing, certainly, you know, we will assist them along the way with that. It's becoming, you know, you talk about the permeable pavers, but with many of our manufacturers, Butler on the Butler side for pre-eng, they are offering these products, right, that you know, help with the, you know, Gabe said, the CIPs, and making sure we're working with our clients to ensure that they can capitalize on those things. And there is the front end cost, but on the back end, you know, there's some significant savings available for them if they consider this in their design. So just working closely with them and the municipalities, making sure we're educating our clients on those incentives.
Right. So we only have a few minutes left. So let's blast through one last quick question. So we'll start with you, Gabe. Are you optimistic about the future? And if so, why? You're on mute.
Very optimistic about the future. I see job security going to be high. I see inflation being stable. I see immigration being high, and I continue to see interest rates being very affordable. So yes, we're very encouraged. We have 4 major projects coming to the market in the spring. We'll be delivering hopefully approximately 1,500 units from Centennial Parkway to Ontario Street in Beamsville. 4 beautiful projects on our books. And like I said, the demand is unreal. And all I can say is now's the time to buy.
Fantastic. Kate, are you optimistic about the future? And if so, why?
Absolutely, I am. I think that the fact that we were able to get through these last 15 months, and like everyone here has said, there's pent up demand. And I think as long as we continue to be responsive to our clients, I think that those opportunities are only going to grow. I think that Niagara is becoming, has really made a place for themselves as far as attracting organizations, individuals moving here, and it's a place that people want to live and people want to work, and in that there's a greater need for infrastructure. So I'm very optimistic, and my only hope is that what I envision of a change so far as people wanting to enter the industry as far as work, comes to fruition.
Terrific. Greg, what about you? Are you optimistic about the future for Niagara Outdoor Landscaping? And if so, why?
Yeah, I'm super excited, John. I think all this construction and stuff driven migration to Niagara is just adding to the increased desire for outdoor living spaces for us. That means working with our clients to bring the vacation resort feel to their backyards, and more pools, outdoor kitchens, bars, covered structures with outdoor TVs, fireplaces, all that stuff that makes for some more exciting projects for us. So I'm really excited. Yeah.
That all sounds great to me.
Yeah.
And Gary, from the construction product side of things, what about you? Are you optimistic?
Oh, extremely. I think that we're in a great time right now. Things are going to continue to be very good. The economy is going to just move forward, almost as if we didn't have COVID. And I'm really excited about it. I know there have been some naysayers that have been saying that, we might have the big R word. I don't see that happening at all. At all. I see us continuing on and being strong as a country and as a region.
Terrific. That's all the time that we have. I would like to thank Kate Flynn, Greg Burnett, Gary Pollard, and Gabe DeSantis for joining us today to talk about Niagara's road to recovery as it relates to the construction sector. Next Tuesday, please join us again, where we will be joined by, we'll be talking about the manufacturing sector specifically, and we will be joined by Murray Bain from Standpack out of beautiful Smithville, Ontario, Lise Moreau from International So-Right, and Ken Lucician from Walker Industries. I'd like to thank everybody for tuning in and watching. And again, thank you to our participants. It's been a great session. Thank you very much, everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you.